Welcome back to another episode of Health is Wealth. And on today's episode, I wanted to discuss something that's really been on my mind lately, thinking a lot about. And it's this idea of which version of ourselves do we want to be? And the reason I was thinking about this is because I'm at a point right now, right, where I'm trying to decide, what version of myself do I want to be in life? Now, if we think about this truly, we've all had different versions of ourselves that we've been throughout life. When we were younger, as kids, youth, and now into adults, right? Who you are today is most likely not the same person you were when you were a lot younger. Had different likes, things that you were into, were into certain things. Also, as you get older and there's a lot of influences through just experience of life, we have different beliefs, different this and that. And so what we're going with this though today is which versions of ourselves do we ultimately want to be? Because at any one time, I believe that there is a version of you that could exist. It's who you are, again, the things that you're into, the things that you believe, what you're doing, for life and what your passion and what drives you and the people you associate yourself with and so forth. And I'm asking myself this a lot lately because I've had multiple versions of who I've been, right? Good and bad and indifferent, from things I was into, crowds I was with, things that made me happy, and so forth. And I've come to this point though now where I ask myself, what version do I really want to live for? And where I'm really getting at with this is what version of myself could best serve me and other people and in this world. And that's really the context of what, this conversation is of, because with the so many different versions of myself that I believe that could exist at any one point, any one of them could do a certain, thing here in life. And while any one of them could exist, I just can't help but take my mind off of asking myself, what version of myself am I going to be most proud of, right? 20 years from now, 30 years from now, what version am I going to, in the future from now, be able to look back and be like, I'm glad that's the version of yourself we chose, because with that version, it made the quality of your life so much better for you and others around you and everybody else in this world. And so it's a really deep thought and question, because how often do we really think about something like that, right? Like, Steve, versions of ourselves, that makes no sense. There's only one me. Yeah, but if you think about it, how many different versions of yourself could there be? From, again, the different things that you're into or the things that you like, Maybe one version does this and another version of yourself does that. And so with all that could exist within my own world, I want to decide to choose a version that's going to best fit what I think I can use, right, to create most impact of this world. Meaning the things that I'm doing with this version of myself that I want to put forward is a version of me who's constantly just working on myself, constantly work to better the quality of just everything in my life, to better help serve other people, right? And so it's important, I think, to think about stuff like that, because there's a version of me that could be, let's say, to make this make any sense, that could be completely selfish, right? There's a version of me that says, okay, maybe I don't want to, help people. Maybe I just want to live life for myself, and, I owe it to myself. I deserve to have a good life. And this version of me could be like, it's all going to be about me. I'm going to get this, achieve that, do this, have that, earn that, buy that, or whatever, just for my own good and nobody else, right? could be a version that could exist in this world, you know? And so, with that being said, that's what I mean. There's so many different versions of us. There could be a selfish version. There could be a non-selfish version of us that exists. There could be a good version that does good things in this world. There's a bad version of us that could exist that destroys things and puts people down and hurts people. And it's just so many different things when you think about it, you know? We can go down so many different career paths. We can, we can have so many different lives within the same body, mind, and spirit is really what I'm saying here. And so really thinking about that so much lately as I'm just on this journey of trying to figure out what the next chapter is. What's my purpose? Where do I want to be? What am I doing now? And it just really hit me with, there's so many different versions I can live out, so many different hobbies I have that I could turn into a passion, and it's all about me and that passion and that hobby. Certain versions that I would do this and not that, and again, be selfish or not selfish. And so asking myself that question with so many different versions within my own realm of possibilities for me, in anyone, right? But I'm just saying for me, asking myself this question personally, I'm just like, which one of these versions do I want to be the version of me that's just going to be the one that, again, I can look back, in the future and just be like, that's the best version of yourself. You could have chosen all these different paths, picked all these other careers, chose all these different passions, could have been that selfish version who was only out for him, was maybe a selfish version and didn't care about helping out other people, but instead you chose the version that best suited, changing the quality of your life for you and your close ones around you, but then for the world. And it's really going to help, I think, mold who I'm starting to become here in the future and grow into, knowing that I want to choose a version of myself that's going to exist in this world to do just that. That's going to bring the absolute very best out of me, standard-wise, for who I am, what I represent, the beliefs I have, the things and impacts and change that I want to see within myself, within close ones, loved ones, people, the youth, kids, the world, just the entirety of it, right? And it's a powerful thing because I believe once we can start thinking beyond ourselves, we begin to gain more purpose and meaning and understanding, and the mission becomes bigger. It just becomes, something different, it's just an awakening within ourselves. And so that's the next version that I really want to try to create. I kind of talked briefly about this the other day. Like, I just think about there's a version of me that could be really a good influence, and there's a version of me that doesn't have any influence at all. And something it's just pulling me towards wanting to help out, the younger generation, the youth, kids, and being that my heart and something in me, the voice of God is like, this might be down your road on where we're going to put you at to really, be impactful is not just to help other people, but really be a role model for kids, for the youth, for the next generation. Just because I struggled growing up, and I struggled staying on the right path, and then just knowing what it could do to help somebody else out, to keep them on the same path. I can only imagine, how much change could happen, even if it was just one person who changed from it. And so, again, all these things are really shaping, this idea for me to be like, like the best version of you that you can be is going to be the version that can do all of that for everybody, the version who's going to be selfless, and be able to give back. And everything I do is going to be about building myself up to be an example, to set the standard, to be a role model, to be a good influence. And it's going to change a lot of things, right? But again, at any one time, a version of us can exist. And the version that I want to bring forth out is going to do a lot of good, it's going to bring out a lot of good and put out a lot of good, within my own life, within proximity, and just to the world. So just a little thought here for today, if you haven't really thought about it, and it's really asking ourselves, what version of ourselves do we want to be, and what's going to have the most meaning, and what version can we look back on and be like, that's the guy I like, that's the version I like. I'm glad you chose that version, because that version of yourself was the best version that you could have picked, because it brought out the best of you. It brought out the best of your qualities. It was a version of you that was selfless, and that version did good around you and out for the world and so forth. And it's just really something I continue to think more and more as I'm really just asking myself, where do I want to be? Again, what version of myself I want to be, and that version is going to be the one who can bring the absolute most impact into this world. Because with any one version I could be, I could say, hey, forget all this. I don't need to help people out. I don't need to see people do better. I'm just going to worry about me, and that's just going to be it, right? Or just not care at all, And that's a version that could exist, but that's not going to be one that I'll be happy with, or look back and be like, what, glad we picked that version. So, ask yourself today, with all the versions that could exist in your world, which one down the line would you be most happiest with? Could you be most proud of? And you think that maybe you can do the most good with in your own life and in others. So thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Health is Wealth Podcast, and we'll see you on the next one.